Is not an alien force already among us?
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
From some other species, from another planet, outside in the universe.
Welcome to S-4.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to S-4, the official radio broadcast of Forest Moon Paranormal, with host Eric Cooper and our panel of enlightened minds. Coming to you live from FMP headquarters located in the heart of Skagit Valley, Washington, at the base of the majestic North Cascade Mountains. We will take you through a journey of exploration as we examine every aspect of the metaphysical. From spirits, UFOs, Bigfoot, and conspiracies, to grounding, protection, astral travel, and everything in between, leaving you with a better understanding and comprehension of the world around you, and the entities that inhabit it. Join us every Saturday night at midnight Pacific Standard Time on the Fringe FM and locally on KSVU 90.1. Remember to check out the Forest Moon Paranormal Facebook page and join in the discussion. Now sit back, open your mind, get ready, because this is S-4.
Good evening or morning, depending where you are, and welcome to S4, the voice of Forest Moon Paranormal, coming to you live from the FMP headquarters in the beautiful mountains of Concrete, Washington. FMP is a highly active emergency response team for all aspects of the paranormal, from aggressive hauntings to alien interaction, Bigfoot and other cryptids, and everything in between that's terrifying. S4 is the voice where we discuss these things in depth. You can find S4 on the Fringe FM every Saturday at midnight, where you can also find Lighting the Void with Joe Roop. Shift Happens with Cortana and Dark Waters. We're also on terrestrial radio for our local listeners on KSVU 90.1 FM from 10 to 12. And it's usually our pre-recorded shows, but you can always listen to them and then jump into Spreaker, where you can listen to the live show. So tonight, it's the 2nd of December. Already. Can you folks believe it? And this will be the first in a series of holiday-related shows, and we'll cover projections and patterns for paranormal activity during the holiday season. So tonight with us, we have R. Keith Andrews, our FMP Alien Race Specialist, Cole Wegleitner, our FMP Lore and Culture Research Specialist and owner of Statement of Sound DJ, Megan Gehring, our FMP Security Detail and Astral Team, Michael Hall, our paranormal lawyer and founder of UFOY Team, and Seth Kinsey, our conspiracy specialist and owner of the show Zero Dark 30. So, how's everyone doing tonight?
Very good, thank you.
Not bad.
Good.
Technological problems, but we're doing good. How about you?
Oh my God, I don't know. Dealing with drama, I gotta be honest. Dealing with drama, and so I run a community group as well, and for the local listeners on KSVU, they know this. Most of them do. And we deal with disaster-related issues. And so when I post, I always encourage people to have their emergency action plan. And I get accused of being a fearmonger. It's like, are you serious? That's pretty much why this group was started, was to get emergency information out, to get disaster information out. Along with, naturally, the folks with businesses that want to put their ads out and, things of that nature. So, it's nothing new. And it's funny, I don't have to say a word because most of the community that's in this group knows what to expect. So, when I have the individual that's attacking me saying, oh, you're fear-mongering, the rest of them jump up and say, actually, no, he's not. We appreciate the information we get. So, and then it's ironic that 2 or 3 days later, all of a sudden we have a 7.0 earthquake in Alaska, along with how many more 2 to 4 earthquakes or, aftershocks. And then, of course, here in Washington, we had 4 different earthquakes.
And who knows what's coming next?
I'm just hanging on. So, also the FMP team is on a break for the month of December. We need to do some training. We need to get regrounded. We need to, and like I explained it, the Army has what's called a safety stand-down day. They do this twice a year. And we've actually never had any kind of a safety stand-down day. But due to the rate of cases we've been taking and the nature of the cases we've been taking for the last month or two, we deemed it as necessary. So, yeah, nothing's wrong. Because, there's a lot of rumors floating around, oh my God, the Astral team is, something happened. And no, nothing's happened. We're just taking a much-needed safety stand-down month.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah, not only that, but if you want to be able to take care of others, and I don't mean this selfishly, you have to be able to take care of yourself. And for people who, maybe they're just enthusiasts of the paranormal and conspiratorial, and they're listening to this, maybe they haven't had an experience or anything like that, but what they don't realize is that when you have an astral team or mediums, anybody that exudes energy towards trying to get rid of a paranormal or otherworldly problem, it zaps them physically. And, when you need rest, you sleep. When you need fuel, you eat. And the people who are taking care of this are human beings who require that type of maintenance. And so this will help Forest Moon Paranormal better help the community. And I can say right now, if Eric says nothing's wrong, that means nothing's wrong. And, let's just put that baby to bed and enjoy this, guys.
Well, any emergency response team, if it does not look at its own safety and its own needs, it's not selfish. Because if we don't take care of the team comes first. The client comes second, to be honest with you, because if the team's not taken care of, we can't help the client. That's just the bottom line.
Sad to say, if the team is not taking care of itself, it is in no shape to take care of anybody else.
Exactly.
It becomes the client.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, then we all know that pretty much, and nothing against the clients, but it's a pretty safe bet that the clients are not equipped to handle what the team goes through. Otherwise, they wouldn't be clients in the first place.
Well, no, that's I can say with fair accuracy that 99.9% of our clients have no idea what's going on and have no idea how to keep it from happening again. And that's what we do. We go in, take care of the mess, and educate them.
I like what Trippin put in the chat room here. People will invite strangers in if a moose is around. Had someone tell him to come in while one was walking by.
You talking about the ones in Alaska?
Yeah, they're
In all fairness, I don't know where Trippin is.
his ex is in Alaska.
Trippin's in North Carolina.
Yeah. Well, he's got people in Alaska. That's what he was talking about in chat.
Okay.
So yeah, he was saying it's too cold to rebuild anything right now, infrastructure-wise.
Yeah.
Gee, I don't know. The Eskimos would argue that point.
Hey, they got sled dogs.
Those guys can build anything on ice.
So we're coming.
I want to see him
December.
build a cell tower that works.
We're coming into December, and this is always, it's interesting because generally speaking, I'll get into the Christmas spirit, but it takes me to actually get enthralled with the Christmas spirit. But this year, I'm enjoying. I throw on Pandora on the TV and here in the house, and I kick it on Christmas channel and go to cleaning or whatever. And I'm actually getting a little more into a better mood. I'm getting recharged just with Christmas spirit. Now let's talk about that word for a minute. Spirit. Do we see an increase in spirit during this time of year?
Well, if we're talking about attitude or mood or that sort of thing, the answer is definitively yes. Across the globe, at this time of year, it seems, regardless of people's heritage or background or anything, people seem to go out of their way to try and be a little nicer. Now, that's not across the board, but, for the majority of it.
That's because everyone feels bad for Black Friday.
It was just Black Friday. People were just beating each other up, for the hottest toy or the hottest commodity. So I think maybe the good spirits would be the fact that you lived through it. If you went to Good Friday, I went to Black Friday one time, and that was enough. I will never go again. Walmart needs to be equipped with an upper-level deck, bar.
You are breaking up something fierce, at least on my end.
It was bad. But, I think that equally negativity and positivity come. Myself, and this is based upon, just the emotional part is one thing. And the negative aspect, too, is, they say that the holiday time is actually one of the highest times for increasing, because people are lonely or they get to thinking about family that's not there or they're estranged from them, and that creates all kinds of emotions.
So, and I totally agree. You have, it's kind of an uplift, but it's also a depressing point of time for many people, like you said, Seth, because the folks that have lost a loved one or something, especially at the holiday season, it's a depressing time, and we know that depression isn't attracted to a lot of paranormal activity. So, do you think that's something to look at?
Definitely. I do, definitely, because I think it is a way for, you take one person, it takes one turd to ruin the punch bowl, so to speak. And what I mean by that is you may have everybody in, and I'm guilty myself sometimes, considering my past history, but you take everybody mostly who's in a good mood, and maybe that day someone's just not feeling it. I think maybe that the biggest concern around the holidays comes in the form of emotional vampires. And they really, you can see them, they physically benefit from seeing the anguish that someone is going through. I mean, maybe there's loved ones around, and they're asking them, perhaps maybe they had a spouse pass on around the holidays, and so, purposely they're goading questions about that. And you can almost see them physically feed off of it. Spiritually, I think maybe with the way I don't like to use the term the veil. Everybody says the veils thing. I don't like to use that term. But in the whole crowd, it's like, okay, I think for every, for example, 10 good spiritual vibes that get in, there's at least 2 or 3 that are hijacking off of that, and they tend to try to let their spiritual stink permeate it.
And good point. But it's, I'm trying to think how to even phrase this. You know, for example, you know, going back to Black Friday, you see the worst of humanity around the holidays shopping. You see the worst of humanity driving during the holidays. I mean, what is that? Stress?
Yes.
I think so.
It has to be.
I mean, it is self-imposed, in all fairness. People seem to have this idea that the holidays is an excuse to act like a Neanderthal.
I agree to a point. To a point, I honestly believe that the holidays do bring out the best in us.
Oh, that part I
Still to this
absolutely
day.
concur with.
I can tell you, on my personal level, the best part of every Christmas, everything that I've experienced since I was a kid, is watching someone else open a present.
Mm-hmm.
Not opening the line myself, but watching someone else, and it doesn't even have to be that I bought it for them, just that they're getting one.
Oh, you want to try something
And
fun?
the look in their eyes.
You should try what I did, not this past year, but the year before. I went down to the local mall here, and because I had a little extra money, I took 5 Christmas cards, put $20 in them, and handed them to strangers. And I tell you, the look on the people's faces was just priceless.
Right.
When they opened them up.
Well, yeah,
because you just walk by, you go, here you go, Merry Christmas, and you walk off.
And in this day and age, they don't expect that.
Not in the least.
No. Now, Joe brings up a good point. As far as his locale, anyway, he's been dealing with the California fires. And he said he's noticed everybody around there seems to be in a better mood, but he thinks it's because it's starting to rain last week, and now it's snowing, and it's put out the fires.
In 2003, we had the same effect up here in Kelowna. Everybody was right stressed until the rain started, when the fires died. It does have kind of an uplifting effect on your mood.
Mm-hmm. Now, not everything is conspiracy. I'll say that. But there's been a lot of talk, especially on the internet and especially in social media, that those fires in California were set. Has anyone else heard of that?
I heard it, but
I've heard that it was from an electric company and not necessarily just camping.
So if you want to look at the conspiracy window here, and the darker powers of the government that be, we have someone go in and set these fires that are catastrophic. We all know California has fires all the time, so is it conspiracy? It might be, who knows? But just bear with me for a minute. It's Christmas time. So let's pull in HARP. Let's do some weather manipulation and bring California some snow and rain to put the fires out for the holidays, so it brings everybody's spirits back up, and then they go back out and start shopping again.
Yes, and that way, if there's any underhanded thing, any type of, whether or not, and I'm not talking politically, but any underhanded legislation that needs to be passed by the end of the year, any underhanded act or whatever is going to fly under the radar with these fires being put out, because people are going to, whew, that's over. And so then the news that is bad, people go, well, that's not as bad as the California fires they just had.
Right.
And then, But really, if the fire had not happened, whatever this unmentioned event is, would have had a lot larger impact if not for the fire.
And what Tripp's in the chat, he says, electric line hitting the tree, calls on 911. Reveal podcast did a tear-wrenching show on it. So, you know, and again, I do hate jumping on the conspiracy bandwagon because everyone, there's too many conspiracies that are unfounded, completely out there. Another one about the Alaskan earthquakes is they were destroying the reptilian tunnels under Alaska. Aliens get blamed for everything. Has anyone else noticed this?
Yep.
Most of the time, anyway. But, you know, if you think about it, if they destroyed all of the reptilian tunnels under Alaska, what happened to the Alaskan cities that were sitting on top of them?
Yeah. Well, the main point I brought up with that, too, is that's pretty short-sighted if that was the case, because it brought about a 7.0 earthquake. And anyone that knows much of anything would look at that as you're actually triggering the Cascadia subduction zone by doing that.
Yeah, it's going to happen anyway, by the way.
Well, yeah, you know, while, like we were talking before the show, while Alaska was having their 7.0, I contacted them through Facebook. I've got two brothers in arms that both live at the North Pole. Don't know each other either. I'm going to have to link them up.
They Elvish or they just gnomes?
Huh?
I said, are they Elvish or are they gnomes?
They're gnomes. They're Santa Claus's helpers. I tell the kids that all the time too. Yeah, I'm going to call Scott. And he's going to walk down to Santa Claus's house. He's going to talk to Santa Claus. They go right to bed. But yeah, I talked to Ludwig and I told him, Slaughter's up there, and well, who's Slaughter? And I told him I served with him in Atlanta. He goes, well, damn, I'm 10 minutes away from the North Pole. Like, give me his number. I'm like, not a problem. I served with both of them in different time frames, and they're both mechanics, so they do well. They do great together. But even in the North Pole, Scott was saying they were getting 2.5s and he could feel them. We had a 2.5 here at Big Lake, which is about 20, 30 minutes from here at headquarters. I didn't feel anything. It shows up in ARSO. For those that want disaster management information, you can either check the usgs.gov website and track it, or you can go through ARSO. And don't ask me to. I can't think of the acronym off the top of my head. Just look for ARSO.
Does it tell you how deep that one was?
Huh?
Does it tell you how deep that one was?
The one at Big Lake, I could actually pull it up. I believe it was 15 kilometers.
So yeah, we wouldn't feel much from that. That's pretty deep.
All right, here we go. But we had 4 different, and I don't want to make this a disaster show because it doesn't fit. But we had 4 different earthquakes here in Washington the same day. And 2 more earthquakes that were both 4-point off the coast. One off the coast of Oregon, the other off the coast of Vancouver Island. So something's shaking up, and it's time to be ready for it. That is all.
Back to the original topic.
Uh-huh.
So, if there is uplift in paranormal activity, I guess. I hate using that because it's a movie title now.
A really bad movie too.
Yeah, you can see the strings.
Uh-huh.
is there any way we could actually help our listeners to calm the waters, I guess I'd say?
Well, meditation, when you feel your stress level getting up there, find something, that calms you down and do it.
Stay
Incense,
positive.
white candles, keep
One
your house safe.
one of the
Go ahead.
one of the best things that I came across a long time ago is literally what you were talking about earlier. You find happy music and you turn it on.
Ah, the
That
Christmas
raises
channel on
vibration.
Pandora.
Oddly enough, fast-paced dance music, if you find really fast-paced dance music, crank it as high as socially acceptable, and leave it run, that is the cure for most depression that the doctors don't want you knowing about. And every time your stress level comes up, that will solve the problem.
Very true. They say music soothes the soul.
One thing I've noticed that doesn't work in malls.
Elevator music. Just annoying,
Yeah.
too.
I'm
It
just
does,
saying,
you
at
have to get them
Christmas,
over the speakers.
yeah, like at Christmas time, those employees, they look so worn out, they look so stressed out, and they listen to Christmas music for 8 hours a day.
It's not the fault of the music. I have worked retail during Christmas. Never again. Just no.
It's definitely the human factor.
No, but, something I have a tendency of doing, just because I'm a little twisted, and, that's no real secret, but if I see somebody having a problem with a client, with a customer, and I may be just walking by and see this going on, I'll walk in and look at the customer and go, would you mind, taking a break? It's not her fault what's going on. If you don't like it, leave.
Exactly.
It does have a tendency of really throwing the customer.
That's one thing too, if you find yourself in the situation of that customer. What you should do is remember, you say, hey, look, I know you're here doing your job, but this is a problem. Too many people, what happens is too many people will have, that faulty product or the wrong item, whatever reason they have to go back to the store. And maybe, they had trudged through the snow, the bad weather, whatever, and then they get there and they see this person behind the counter who already looks like the wrong side of a bad day, and they think, okay, well, this person's going to give me attitude. So then they go up to the counter, and you can get different results all on the way you speak to people. All on the way you speak to people. But I'd say if you want to combat the negative aspect, because the paranormal disturbance or the paranormal accepted activity, if you don't mind having, the ghost around, but
Oh, Seth, we could barely hear you, man.
away.
Yeah, we're missing
Can you hear
every
me?
third word, Seth.
Can you hear me now?
Only
Right
that.
There you go.
Welcome
Oh,
to
good.
Verizon.
Don't.
Oh, boy. Be positive.
I am. That's like saying, that's like when I get told to apologize if I don't feel I have to. Be positive. I'm positive it's so and so's fault.
Joe brings up an interesting point. And let's talk about vibration for a second. And I think the best one to talk vibration is key. So Joe says the most stressed person he sees at the store is the bell ringer for the Salvation Army. That constant ringing must drive him crazy. Now, let's talk about the bell. The bell makes a vibration of itself, of its own. Could that, looking at that perspective, when you're sitting there ringing a bell all day long, do you think the vibration or the tone that bell's making, it has any kind of an impact on them?
Not much, simply because, I mean, it does in as much as it's a constant repetitive noise. But the reality is the bells are not tuned to a specific tone. You know, they're very, politely put, they're a very second-rate bell. But where the problem with the Sally Ann comes in, and with a lot of, I don't know if anybody else does it, but if you're sitting there listening to a constant ringing, I know any bell ringing for any length of time drives me up the walls. But you also have to look at the attitude that in some areas that the Salvation Army has created around themselves. And when you're out representing a company that has done a botch job on their publicity, you're front line for being ignored or getting the flack.
Okay. And yeah, I think attitude plays a big role in that with the individual.
It does.
Not as much as the bell ringing.
Well, see, if you compare it with the bell ringing, the old Chinese water torture did the same thing. It drove people right up the wall. Only this one they're being told to do to themselves.
Right. So, Michael.
Yes.
Looking at UFO report patterns, do we see a spike in December? Because I know you've studied this pattern for years.
Yeah, well, you know, December typically is maybe not a big month. Obviously, you've got summertime, July, and, you know, everybody's out for the 4th of July and staying up late at night. So that's probably a much more, spike in sighting reports. But, gosh, I just had Peter Davenport on my show tonight earlier for the reports that he gives every week for my show, and he says that there's just a huge spike generally right now. For the month of November, it was just astronomical, and it seems to me, listening to what's going on out there through him, is that these reports are getting, you know, closer and closer nowadays than, you know, in the old days you'd hear about the lights in the night sky, you know, and now you're hearing about saucer shaped, triangular shaped, you know, only less than 500 feet away, that kind of thing, even hovering over the road, you know, a country road somewhere at night, almost touching the ground, let alone the alien reports, the reports of actual alien beings walking down the highway in Oregon, for instance, that kind of thing. So I just get the feeling, studying this whole thing for, you know, about the 30 years that I've been into this field, is that nowadays just in the last year, things are really heated up with sighting reports. And of course, the mass media is not treating it with the snicker factor that they used to. You know, all these new television shows are coming into the History Channel, and you know, a lot of different networks are actually kind of promoting the idea of red pilling the public somehow on these things. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the month of December, when we realize that it's only been not even a year since the New York Times article confirming the existence of UFOs from the Department of Defense and the Pentagon. So I kind of see that December could be very interesting.
So, you know, you bring up, you just a little light bulb in my head here. When does Blue Book come out this month?
Project Blue Book from the History Channel comes out January 8th, and it'll be 10 p.m., whether you're East Coast or West Coast or Central Coast, at 10 p.m. in the evening, it'll be aired. So at the premiere, which we recently had here in Seattle, it was just jam-packed, kind of a sneak preview, red carpet premiere we had, and I was just amazed at the production quality of this new television show. Of course, if people don't know, Project Blue Book was the U.S. Air Force's 1952 to 1969 secret project to study UFOs. And they hired J. Allen Hynek, an astronomer from Northwestern University, to kind of be their scientific consultant. And initially they wanted him to kind of help debunk the whole issue because their attitude was that they're in control of the sky, and anything that is doing aerial activity that they can't account for shouldn't exist. So real quickly they found out, and Dr. Hynek found out, that these things are real and they're being reported all over the country.
And the other thing that people may not realize is, I know the older audience will, way back in the late 60s, early 70s, Project Blue Book was out then as a TV show at that point. Because I remember watching that when I was a kid.
Real quick, Tripp's got a question in the chat. Was it actually a confirmation or just free advertisement for To the Stars?
Was the project...
I'm not sure I understand the question.
I think he's talking about the Project Blue Book movie. And do we still have Michael, or Michael dropped?
I don't know.
Sound like he dropped.
Looks like he dropped.
Okay. So, in answer to that, I don't think it was a To the Stars promotion. All right, we got you back, Michael?
Yeah, you got me now. I'm back.
Okay. Hold on. Okay, so I'm going to have to hang up on you and recall you because I think we only have you on the call. So hold on.
Okay. Hang in there.
All right, folks, we're having some technical difficulties here real quick.
Just because, there was more hours of darkness, if that made sense. Like, okay. We would be doing, like, night sorties or, night test flight type stuff during the winter months due to the length of dark hours. In the day, when I was stationed down in Yuma, Arizona, we grounded because it got so hot on the tarmac the tires could melt. So, on a hard landing or something, they could melt and explode due to the heat, temperature, and the sun heat effect on the tarmac. So, I mean, we had melty sections, ribbons of liquidy, patching done on the tarmac that would actually reliquefy in the direct sun. So we didn't do much daytime flying during the summer months in the hot zones like Yuma, Arizona.
Yeah, see, and the reason I'm bringing that up is because, I'm wondering if we're still getting the same amount of sightings and those type of things from military craft and commercial aircraft in the winter months as we are in the summer.
Okay, no, that's a good correlation. I actually took a lot of UFO notes to study and prep for this. Basically, that is a really good correlation, Cole. Thank you for asking. I have realized there are two or three major events that have occurred in December involving UFOs. So
I can add.
Oh, you can add?
I was going to say I can add to that on a local level. Here, Fort Drum isn't that far from here, and I have noticed upon my own private research that with the UFO reports, that a lot of reports that come in for December through the holidays and even the winter months especially, a lot of those reports come in on nights when the plows are out plowing the roads
Good call.
constantly. And I think some of what that's doing is, believe it or not, so many people are busy paying attention to the plows because they're worried about what the weather's like down below. And if you have such a distraction down below, that makes it very easy for people not to keep their eyes toward the sky. And there can be things done in the sky that even those of us who would pay attention to it may not see or even ignore because we're so worried about what it's going to be like trekking out of the house the next day.
But with that, though, if you have more people paying attention to the plows, do you think are they outside or are they inside their house looking out? Because I mean,
well, you have the farmers here who have reported some very strange things. Not far from here, Hubbardsville, New York, you can even see on YouTube, Richard Dolan came, and I worked at the Hubbardsville Manor. So I was just up the street from where there had been several abductions over the 9 Mile Swamp. And some of this stuff actually happened right in the wintertime when people were trying to do ice fishing and stuff like that. And 9 Mile Swamp was a place where a lot of stuff happened. And there's been alien activity. There's been people who have said that there have been craft coming out of the swamp. And Hubbardsville is a perfect place for it. I mean, it's Mayberry.
I like Trippin's point, because Trippin also brings up people forget, due to how cold the air is, the crystallization in the air makes people think they're seeing UFOs, also while not looking at flight tracking apps and star chart apps and whatnot. And that's an excellent point, because if you go outside on a very cold night, you can actually, the air looks like it's flashing little lights, and it's actually ice in the air. And some people, they might see that as, lights in the sky. Good point.
See, and that's why I don't understand why I never got to see a UFO, and that really bothers me now. I know that's stupid to say, but my point is, so my family snowmobiled since I was 6 years old. I've been on a snowmobile, my own. Every night in the winter, every weekend night, we would go out and we'd find a meadow to sit in and we'd stare at the sky. And it's minus 30 when we're doing this. We never ever got to see anything. How fair is that?
But this was in Canada, or was this here in Concrete?
In Canada.
Okay,
well,
if you
there are those of us that would look at the idea of not running into a UFO, especially, in my case, especially in my younger years, that would have been classified as a real blessing.
That's why I said it's kind of stupid to say, and I understand that. But I still feel kind of gypped.
Be careful what you wish for.
Yes. I like the way it was put, the way Spock put it on the original Star Trek. Sometimes the having is not so pleasing as the wanting.
Right.
Well, Cole, all you got to do if you want to make a trip down to Mount Adams in East Ranch, you'll probably be guaranteed to see some kind of anomalous air activity down there, because it's fascinating stuff. Either there or closer to your neck of the woods would be Mount Baker. Same thing.
Well, I might actually like to join you one of these times when you go up to Glacier on one of your treks.
Yeah, exactly. We'll be back up there this summer, I'm sure. We have a guy in Glacier. His moniker is Rob from Puyallup. That's all he wants anyone to know him by, but he does live up there. And he captures UFOs very distinctly on videotape almost any time he wants to go out. And I'm not talking nighttime, I'm talking daytime. But what he does is he videotapes them he just videotapes the general daylight sky for about 5 minutes, 2 minutes sometimes. And then what he'll do is he'll go through that film, that footage, frame by frame on his laptop, and you will see anomalous activity all over the place going across the field of vision. For instance, down at the bottom right-hand corner in one frame, you might see something pop up. And then in the next frame, right next to it on a video, you'll see it in the middle of the frame. And on the third frame, it's in the upper left-hand corner, almost out of the frame. When you calculate that at at 49 frames per second is what his videotape, his camera records. That's about 20,000 miles an hour. So we figure in our investigations that these things are flying all over the place up there in the Mount Baker area, but they're flying so fast you don't see them with your naked eye. You have to have special equipment. So that's a fascinating place to be in that area by Glacier, Washington, and Mount Baker, Cedar Woolley even.
And, Glacier itself is a very interesting location to begin with, because one of our FMP meteorological scientists is actually in Glacier, the Orb Lady, and
yes,
you know her.
Yeah, Karen.
Generally speaking, I take orbs with a grain of salt when they're only photographed, but in this particular case, she actually has orbs with a naked eye that follow her around. That's a completely different phenomenon.
Yeah.
And that's on a daily basis. Not at any point in time she can go outside and see an orb. So there's a lot of activity. Now, is it due to volcanic? Would be my question. And Keith, do you think having a volcano nearby would be an impact on orb activity like that?
Oh, absolutely. In some cases, you see, there's 3 different types of orbs that you'll catch on film, or for that matter, see face to face. The most common, sad to say, is dust particulates picking up light. But when you're around, you got to remember the vapors and the thermal dynamics that happen around the volcano. And it's when you take a look at one particular brand of the orbs, they use the thermals for both energy and flight coordination. Okay, so yeah, if you're lucky enough to have an active volcano, or at least a rumbling volcano, there is no doubt that you'll end up seeing more activity. Even if you watch over top of it, you're likely to see them parked right above it for literally research purpose.
So you would label that as a geological phenomenon versus off-world?
No. You mean the dust particulate type thing?
No, well, the orb activity.
Well, like I said, there's 3 types of orbs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Dust particulates is one. There is a race that is so small they literally have ships that'll fit that are about the size of a softball. And then, of course, you've got the energy, the races that quite literally all they look like is an orb, because that's all they are.
Okay. Because this is the same location that Michael was talking about with his contact that actually video records UFO activity all the time. So
yeah,
I would say it's tied together.
Well, yeah, because don't forget, especially when you start when you look at the whole issue of energy readings, it's a lot safer to get a probe moved down near the volcano than it is to put a live person down there.
Mm-hmm.
It would be interesting for somebody, if they haven't done it already, to do an EMP reading or some other energy reading in the vicinity of the orbs themselves.
Now, something to think about too is because I have seen through the years increase in UFO activity. That's why I always bring this up on the December shows. Could it be just like 4th of July, just like New Year's when people are lighting up fireworks? You will see a lot of craft that will come down because, what are these humans doing? You know, and then you have at Christmas time all these really bright Christmas lights all over on everyone's houses.
Yep.
Any kind of bright attractor I could see as being something that, the alpha world would be going, wow, what's this?
And you're absolutely right. I mean, you got to remember if they're tracking energy flow, let's face it, during that month, you end up with a staggering spike in electrical output.
Mm-hmm.
So, and certainly from a research standpoint, they're absolutely going to be there.
So getting to paranormal activity in general, you don't see a spike in Bigfoot. But I think Bigfoot themselves, at this point in time of the year, are actually going to higher elevations. They don't sleep like bears do. They don't hibernate, but they do migrate. They seem to migrate to higher elevations during the colder months.
They're Amazon shopping.
I was thinking it was the kokanee, but,
Has anyone else seen
this? Well, that's how
pattern?
they get it delivered.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, Coop, I was... that just reminds me, and I don't know if this is apropos or not, but I just saw Jim Carrey's The Grinch Who Stole Christmas again. I was just surfing on Netflix the other night, and I just got to thinking to myself, wait a minute here. The Grinch lives up on a snow-covered mountain just on top of Whoville. He looks just a lot like a Sasquatch, and you just mentioned the fact that these cryptids, move to higher elevations in the wintertime. That's a fascinating correlation right there. And I wondered if they were thinking with Dr. Seuss or whoever came up with the whole story. I wonder if he had Bigfoot in mind when he was writing it.
Well, it was certainly Dr. Seuss that came up with it, or at least that published it. But you do remember that the Grinch is green?
Yeah, that's true. Of course,
according to an interview with Dr. Seuss, he did not. It had nothing to do with Bigfoot. The Grinch represented every horrible emotion we have during the holiday season.
Ah, yeah. Very good.
Somebody actually asked him?
Yes.
Perhaps he's a thought form.
That's interesting. So somebody else, years ago, obviously, saw the correlation of Grinch and Bigfoot.
Yep.
I did he is very similar, except for he's green. I agree. But
And the Who's from Whoville, I tell you what, they almost look elfish right there. Those guys. So
well, I can tell you, as far as the elves living up that end of the world, the fairy folk are very real, as are the dwarves.
Yeah.
And Chris is in the chat. She says Chewbacca is related to Bigfoot. Yeah, you had Chewbacca in your truck, Michael, coming up to Paracon last year, or was this year?
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Chew is my sidekick there. He kind of gets me through the carpool lane if I need to. Oh, just kidding. But yeah, I've got. I have the most awesome Chewy Bigfoot head that I put over the right-hand passenger seat headrest. It looks so real. I mean, I get looks like people going down the freeway and coming up close at a stoplight, in town. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it.
See, I saw one the other day that was just absolutely priceless. It was somebody that they were driving a driving instructor's car, right? And I mean, it's okay when you see a driving instructor's car and they're sitting in the right-hand seat and away they go. The frightening part was realizing that there was a yellow lab sitting in the driver's seat with his paws on the steering wheel.
Keith, I have a question for you here, because I'm sitting here thinking about everything in the background, and my mind cooks. So think of this. You know how reptiles go through brumation, yes?
Well, I'm going to ask you a real silly question. I'm presuming you're referring to shedding?
No, when they go into their sleep-like state.
Oh,
kind of
okay.
like hibernation. And usually the owner of the pet has to lower their temperature and do all kinds of adjustments in the cage and whatnot. Here's something I'm thinking. Now, someone said, okay, what happened to the cities above where the earthquakes were? Perhaps they weren't trying to blow the reptilians' tunnels up. If any of these reptilians are like their earth-based animal counterparts, or snakes, or lizards, whatever, if they're anything like them, and if they go through brumation, then perhaps they were in their brumation period, and it would be the perfect time for the powers that be to launch a chemical attack on them in their tunnels, and then them waking up and all hell breaking loose underground is what caused the earthquakes.
Well, the theory is reasonable, but I have not actually met a race myself that is like a reptilian race that goes through that. Now, there are reptilian races, obviously, they're still, earthbound or groundbound.
Mm-hmm.
But starfaring races don't have that cycle.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I mean, if you think about it, if they did, can you picture what would happen to the starship if you have even a slight temperature variation?
Yeah.
That makes sense. You would assume that their technology would have that covered. But here they're on the Earth. I'm just thinking about this. There may at least have to be, in theory, unless they're only reptilian in appearance. I mean, this goes so much deeper. What are their diets like? What are their lifestyles like? What
Most of them,
happen?
That could be a very involved conversation. Most of them are carnivorous. Some are omnivorous. But are they cold-blooded? And by the way, yes, a lot of them, if not most, actually still do lay eggs. Like they have an actual hatchery. But are they cold-blooded? The answer is not really. Cooler-blooded in some cases. There are a couple of races of amphibians that are definitely cooler-blooded. But that's because if you're too warm-blooded and you're living in the waters they do, you'll end up freezing to death.
Because the answer to this question regarding the uptick in any potential activity is, I'm thinking, well, you guys are talking here, and I said to myself, well, if they are trying to blow the tunnels, which I don't think so what would be the next thing? Would be some form of a chemical attack, smoke them out, if you will. But if they think they're going to, why Alaska in comparison to other places? Because whoever it is, I don't know if it would be our government, because conspiracy is such a broad thing in this. Some people say we're working with them. Some people say we're working against them. Some people say the government's with them, against them. Every listener and all you guys know these different things. So I'm going to spare you the enumeration of that. But I'm going to say, wherever these guys are all around the world, if they think they're going to do something that's going to cause them any harm, they had better pack a lunch, and Alaska was just a light snack effort to do something if that were the case.
Well, here's the one thing to consider on that note. Let's assume for a moment that they tried poisoning a colony.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it was successful and they wiped the colony out, no problem, at which point you don't have any of the ramifications. But if they didn't, can you picture what 1,000 screaming armored reptiles coming out of the ground with high-tech weaponry in a combat mine are going to do to the neighborhood? At least we wouldn't have to worry about whether we had visitors.
With
Black Friday.
With atom destabilizers that look like the size of a flashlight.
Yeah.
And you think the earthquakes hit the news, they wouldn't be able to hide that kind of an attack. And on that note,
because
folks,
they wouldn't slow down.
No. We have to take a break. So it's time for our break. When we come back, we'll continue with our holiday series. So stay tuned for hour 2.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Times are changing. The circus of politics, healthcare's low standards and high prices, and let's not forget food quality. What to do? Arm yourself with Life Change Tea at GetTheTea.com. In a world of chemical imbalance and poor air and water quality, it's time you make a move. Log on to GetTheTea.com and stock up on organic non-GMO supplements. Don't forget the tea. Cleansing your body never felt so good. And we have a brand new tea called Takedown Tea, which helps support healthy glucose. All natural body support so you can be at your best, naturally. All you have to do is log on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. We're not a fad that comes and goes. We are the real deal. Join us and armor up. GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Changing America's health one tea bag at a time.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Poor water quality is a major health issue, and it's only getting worse. Municipalities can't keep up, standards have dropped, and pollutants are increasing. Where does it all end? It ends by keeping the pollutants outside of your home with HydroCare's advanced systems available at Wave Home Solutions. No less than the best purification materials and processes have been developed by HydroCare to provide you with healthy, clean water for drinking, cooking, and showering. HydroCare far surpasses the competition in removing chlorine, odors, iron, lead, chemicals, limescale, and much more. Don't settle for less when it comes to your water. We'll take care of the toughest water problems for you, whether it's from a city or well source. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, call 888-997-WAVE. That's 888-997-WAVE. Or go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
Do you want to lose weight but have no idea where to begin? The Fast Start Diet, a 3-day weight loss plan, is the answer. 3 days of nutritionally balanced, calorie-restricted meals delivered right to your door. No shopping, no measuring, and no cooking. Everything is prepared for you and ready to eat at home or on the go. The Fast Start Diet has all the amazing benefits of intermittent fasting without starving. We've helped thousands of people who have struggled to reach their weight loss goals. Isn't it time we helped you? With the Fast Start diet, you'll lose weight and feel great.
Find us on Amazon or go to faststartdiet.com and use promo code POWER to get $10 off your first box. As a special bonus, we will include our #1 rated Lipo3 appetite suppressant spray free with your order. Whatever your diet plans are, start with us at faststartdiet.com and use promo code POWER.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies in a capsule.
It's a great product. And the one thing I liked about it the most is that when you open the bottles, you can smell like the scent of the fruits and veggies. It's no genius thing to it. It's really just fruits and veggies, which everyone needs. And you guys put it in a way where you can take it easy and you can get it, and it's natural, and that's what I like about it. I like the product, and I've taken it, and it's definitely made me feel a lot better. I'm a healthy person to begin with, but it's definitely good prevention, and it's definitely gives me energy, and I feel like it's a natural thing. I like it. I really do.
For a limited time, use discount code TALK to receive a 50% discount on your first preferred whole health system and have it shipped to you free. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Again, use discount code TALK.
Welcome back to S4 tonight as our first of the holiday series. Hope you all are enjoying tonight's discussion. You can also find the archives at our Spreaker site, which is where our live chat is. So make sure you head for Spreaker.com/shows/S-4, where you can find our live chat room. And on the S4 YouTube channel for all the shows you've missed in the last 2 years. Anyway, back to the show. And before we continue, I check our geostats. Probably only twice a month. And we got to give a shout out, because we actually, for the first time in 2.5 years that S4 has been running, we have a listener in Honduras. And, everyone give them a shout out real quick, because I think, every time we get a new country that's listening, I think it's great.
It is.
Thank you for listening.
And welcome aboard.
Thank you for listening, and share it everywhere.
Yeah. And, I was talking to a guy from Nigeria last night, and sent him the link. So we might have Nigeria listening as well, which is very cool. So I've got to backtrack here because we were getting questions in the chat room during the break. Trip was asking, what temperatures can reptilians take?
Well, that depends on the reptilian. on the race. Because if you take a look at the Strazazians, their temperature range is pretty much normal human. But because of the atmosphere they actually evolve in, they can handle a much heavier and a much more particulate-laden atmosphere than what humans can.
And that makes sense. I think when you say reptilians, we've got multiple races of reptilians. But when people think of reptilians, they think of chameleons, they think of Komodo dragon, they think of all the different reptilian animals that people have as pets or that you find in nature. And that's kind of the science they go behind. Whereas you're dealing with an off-world race, sometimes, the reptilian races, there's a couple races I know originated on this planet. I believe the Draco did they not?
No, the Draco actually come out of Draconis. However, the Chitauri did evolve here.
Right. So there are a couple races that, or at least that one, that did originate on this planet. And those might be the races, you could clarify that, may have the same kind of chemistry or the same kind of needs that our animals do.
Yeah, the other reptilian race is the ankyloids. Also involved here.
Real quick, Seth has got to go because his phone's dying. Thank you for being on the show tonight, Seth. We'll talk to you next week. And I think we already lost him.
We did.
Okay. Now, go ahead, because I know you were saying something before. I had to cut you real quick.
Yeah, the thing is, when people talk about reptilians, I think one of the biggest problems that we run into is that most people's perception of reptilians is originating, quite frankly, from the 70s and 80s show V.
Right.
That's where most people seem to have a lot of their understanding, if you will.
Well, that, and when you talk to the abductees that actually deal with reptilians, you get a better picture. And and it's definitely not V.
Well, no, the abductees is one thing. I'm referring to the people, the general populace that looks at it. The abductees have a whole different set of observational imperatives.
Right. And I got to clarify, too, because Trip's been in the chat room, and I agree. Alaska has always been an earthquake hotspot. I mean, every year. And so I really hate even bringing up conspiracies when it comes to earthquakes in Alaska, just because of that fact. It's natural phenomena. It's it's an earth. There's always earthquakes in Alaska. Are they alien related? Are they conspiracy related? Maybe. I give it a 10% rating, to be honest with you, though.
But that's an easy cover up then.
It is.
If it was to happen in Italy, well, that's not that easy to cover up as an earthquake in Alaska.
Right. Now, on Alaska, and that's a topic for a whole other show, Alaska itself, because you start bringing in Admiral Byrd, the entrance to the inner Earth from the North Pole, the Nazi alien agenda in the North Pole. You could do a whole show just on Alaska and the government hidden bases and whatnot. You got HARP in Alaska. You could do a whole show just on Alaska alone. But when it comes to the natural hazards of earthquakes, I don't like to even touch that one with conspiracy, because there are tectonic plates that, it's an unstable region. It always has been.
And especially when you take into consideration the ebb and flow of the temperature on an ice pack.
Right. Exactly. I get accused by non-paranormal people of you're just the alien guy, you're just the UFO guy. Oh, you blame everything on the paranormal, and that is so far from the truth. So my two main hobbies in life are paranormal, I agree, but also emergency response management. That's my other key area, and that's why I'm getting a degree in it. But it has nothing to do with the paranormal. When it comes to natural disasters, they are not paranormal related. When it comes to missing people, most of the time, they are not paranormal related. You have the missing 411 aspects, yes, but they are not paranormal related most of the time. So I want to clarify, just because I talk natural disasters and missing people and whatnot, no, I don't always throw paranormal on everything I look at. In fact, very seldom do I, unless it's a paranormal case.
The thing people have to realize is, especially for those of us that work in that field, the first rule of doing any work in that field is you eliminate the logical causes first. Then you look at the oddballs.
Exactly. But, haters will hate, and once they hate you, then they'll find anything to try to pick you apart. And that's really what the case is most of the time.
More often than not, yeah. Quite frankly, it is.
So
The thing
paranormal,
people have...
and I've got to say, again, is the veil thinning, and is that what brings paranormal activity during certain months? And
no.
Going by the FMP, going by Force Moon Paranormal and our caseload, no, there's not an ebb and flow. There's not a rise at certain times. There never has been.
The thing is, the veil between both worlds, the corporeal and the non-corporeal, it's not that it's getting thinner. It's that more people are paying attention to it, thereby generating more energy on this side, and subsequently being able to see to the other side. It's kind of like if you're trying to look through an opaque curtain or through a translucent curtain.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got a flashlight, you're not going to see much. If you've got an airport, an airport spotlight, you can see pretty clearly through a translucent wall. It's a matter of power outlet.
Well, and I always like to use the mental projection aspect. Because the more people you have focused on one thing, especially like, you compare it to Halloween. You look at Halloween and everybody expects fear. Everybody expects paranormal. And the more people are focused on being scared and on seeing spirits because, oh my God, it's Halloween, that's going to bring it about.
It does. And, I love the way it was put years ago. Where oddly enough, Star Trek was a great show for that. But what they said was, and this is how you've got to go at the paranormal and at the alien side of things. When you eliminate all of the logical possibilities, whatever is left, regardless of how illogical it may seem, is the answer.
Exactly.
But you eliminate everything first.
I totally agree. Bringing back December, because you expect it in Halloween, but you talk about the spirit of Christmas, and I want to pick that apart real quick. But when people talk about the spirit of Christmas, are they talking about a spirit or an attitude?
Both.
And I can hit that.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So, as we all know, Santa Claus is real.
Mm-hmm.
He is very real. His name was St. Nicholas.
Yep.
And he was a real man. But as we all know, today in this world, as we know him, he is a spirit who overtakes all of us in this time.
Look at the NORAD Santa tracker. They actually track Santa Claus from NORAD.
But in that sense, he was a real man. Therefore, yes, he is a spirit, because it is his spirit of giving, of unconditional love for those who he does not know. That is the embodiment of what we know as the Christmas spirit.
But, here's the funny thing, and I absolutely agree with your assessment there. But here's the other thing that you got to remember. We go back 2,000 years ago, and what was it that was done on Christmas morning? But gifts were brought from far and wide on that morning as well. The issue of Santa Claus is very, very much a case of him being a very real person, and it being carried on to this day. But it started way before that, and quite frankly, even before 2,000 years ago. But that energy is, yes, it does infect everybody, and I'll call that in a good way.
I love culture. I love reading about cultures. I love experiencing cultures. And I spent 8 years in Germany. In Germany, they call them Nikolaus, Saint Nikolaus, and it's really cool experiencing the culture, because December 7th is when Nikolaus goes through the German city streets, and he's got Black Peter with him. Now, we're not going to talk about Black Peter because we're doing the dark side of the holidays next week, and we're going to talk about Krampus and all the other rather nasty creatures that have come up through culture. But it's kind of cool because the German kids, they come, every village in Germany on December 7th goes on the streets, and Nikolaus and Black Peter are in a horse-drawn buggy, and if Black Peter knows who the bad kids are, and he gives them coal. Nikolaus, he's checking his list, and by God, you better be a good kid, because he is checking his list.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for Black Peter to start handing out high-pressure coal.
Right?
Yeah. And trips leading up, until the religious part gets thrown in, and we're going to hit the religious part week 3, and expect hate, expect it, because if it's not about one particular religion over the other, then people start really getting ramped up. But we're going to actually talk about the pagan side of winter solstice and Yule, and that will be on week 3 of the show.
With the Christmas spirit,
mm-hmm.
Do you think that spirits that are out there in this world feel that energy still from the Christmas spirit and still embody it in ways themselves?
Yes.
I think, and I agree with Keith, I think it depends on the spirit. If you're talking about a stuck human spirit, again, if they're stuck in this realm, then they're going to know the holidays. But you got to remember, the element of time is different in the spirit world than it is here. There really is no time. But I would think, you start seeing again the Christmas lights come out, the Christmas tree come out, you're going to spark memories in spirits.
Oh, yeah. And there are a number of spirits that will cross back over simply to enjoy said energy. Because you got to remember, in the spirit world, they react and they respond to energy just like people respond to wind in this world.
Now, on that note, and something to think about, if they were alive, and they had a bad experience during the holidays, and now they're a spirit that's stuck here, and they're angry because of the holidays, do you think that would be a spike in paranormal activity?
Well, if that were going to cause a spike, it would have happened a long time ago first. Technically, it could, but what you'll find is the spirits that are, that have a bad memory about Christmas, 99.9% of them hide from the energy. They don't try and do anything with it. Because we got to remember, energy itself to the spirit world can be painful, and negative energy is a painful thing.
And Trips into the chat room, he says, only if they watch Fox. And I agree.
Well, you just got to go back to the 80s and watch Samantha, and everybody will be happy. Assuming you liked her music.
Right. No, he's talking about the news network. Oh, yeah, and I would agree, and that'd be a good experiment to test. If you have paranormal activity and it's really aggressive, which news network do you watch?
I guess technically it would have to be yours because I don't watch any other news.
No, I'm talking about the clients. Oh, you watch Fox News? Okay, yep. You have a spot. That's why you've got malevolent entities. There you go.
I'm just saying everyone should watch the news. It has everything: horror, drama, comedy,
deception.
Yeah, like it's the greatest show on earth.
But
in all fairness, an even better one happens to be the weather report.
That's true. Like that's like watching the lottery numbers.
Well,
no matter what you do, you know you're not going to win.
I like the way a senior put it to me one day, where he says, it's a good thing we have weather, because if not for the weather, 90% of people wouldn't talk to each other.
Yeah.
It's that one topic that nobody gets mad about, at somebody else.
Until it's a tornado.
Yeah.
Well, in all fairness, aside from the devastation there, I got caught in one. They're a lot of fun.
Good.
Actually, I've been
They
caught.
fascinate me so much.
Try that again?
They fascinate me a lot. We, when we were coming back from my hometown one time, I had my two boys in the back seat and my wife beside me, and we're driving down the road, and I grew up with tornadoes, so I'm used to them, but they have all lived in Washington their whole lives. And I look in the rearview mirror, and I can see the twister behind us. I call back to my oldest son, Hunter, and I say, look back there. And he's fascinated by weather. And he looks back there, and he just screams, Dad, drive, go!
Yeah, they're trying to run a tornado. This is always handy.
That reminds me of the movie Twister. We've got cows.
Yeah.
I think that's the same one.
I've never seen a cow in the air from a twister, but I have seen the grain bins go up.
I saw an entire mobile home go up.
And the cow chasing the grain bin?
Yeah. Come back with my food.
So do we still have Megan in here?
Yeah, I came back.
Okay. So what input have you got? You were in another paranormal team before you joined FMP. So
yes.
You've got some background behind you. What have you seen any kind of spirit patterns during the holidays?
Well, at the time, it was around the holidays, and we were getting a couple phone calls or reports like, they needed crossings performed because they thought that, sad loved ones were still with them. And they just felt like the holiday was a good time to cross over. So, and also the other thing that I had as a talking point on my notes here was the depression rate and the rate of suicides that occur during this holiday season between Thanksgiving and New Year's. There's always a spike with that. And yes, that's not always paranormal, but, for those people who, do that, maybe they do get stuck here and maybe they do kind of get more active around this time of year. I was attached to my paranormal group for almost a full year, from March up until February kind of thing. So I had pretty much the whole year, and the spring was really quiet. It picked up around the end of April, and then 4th of July was a big weekend. We had a couple reports of sightings and whatnot. And then pretty much the month of October through January was very active for our team, but also our lead investigator preferred to do dark time interviews and investigations. So that was also his kind of preferred time to conduct, what we were trying to do. And so we were always going, always trying to get nighttime investigations, and it just seemed easier to get that done during the winter hours. So I wouldn't say that it's more of a spike, but it was just opportunity plus clients being very aware, rolling out of, Halloween into a very almost happy, but, I'm not going to say sad, but I can't figure out another word. So happy but sad time of year. And I mean, I do know a lot of people with like seasonal depression, and the sunlight has a lot to do with it. Everybody being happy and people not believing that they deserve happiness and, can't find exact things to be thankful for. That does a lot to a person psychologically, and it's very easy to fall into a depression.
Well, it makes you wonder, we're in winter. It gets dark early. It's cold. It snows. You got more storms. And if there was not a Christmas, if there was not a holiday season, do you really think the depression and things of that nature would actually be impacted just because it's the holidays or because of the season?
Without the holiday, you can bet that the depression would be worse.
And that's a good point. That's a very good point.
I mean, if it does nothing, it provides a break in the routine of being gray and cold.
Well, and the holidays are a family time. And generally speaking, with the exception of a few dysfunctional families, getting together with family is a fun time. It's a memorable time. You're making memories. You're making traditions. And you bring in the traditional factors and, that families do every year at the holidays. And it's a more joyous time. So that's a very good, valid point. If you didn't have that to look forward to, but just the humdrum rain, the snow, the flooding, it gets dark at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, things of that nature, it's depressing overall. So that's a very good point.
Yeah, the other thing that you look at where it comes to the whole energy pattern is, the moment you said family is a fun time, I know some families where that doesn't quite apply. But you are right. The moment you throw the colored lights up, right, and because virtually everybody is running music of one form or another, more so at that time than anywhere else. And I think a lot of it has to do with the idea of trying to break that routine. People talk about the fire. Yeah, and I mean the one that you keep in your fireplace being such a relaxing thing.
And on the show, I like to bring up safety points. So when you bring up fire, and I got to throw this out there, make sure you're watering your Christmas tree. Because it only takes 2 minutes to destroy your home if you have a dry tree and it catches fire. There's a video out that anyone can watch that actually shows how fast your tree will catch your whole house on fire. Make sure you're only plugging in no more than 2 extension cords to 1 extension cord. Because that, again, is a fire hazard. So on the show, I do like to bring up safety points to the holidays and to, any topic that we're talking about.
And if you don't have time to water your tree, buy an artificial one.
Exactly.
Yeah, and if you do buy an artificial one, don't water it.
And, well, if you say, you miss the pine smell, boil pine needles on your stove.
Yeah, exactly.
It makes the entire house smell like it, and it's awesome.
Exactly.
The other one that works really well is cinnamon. It is apple juice with cinnamon and a half a dozen cloves. Simmering on your stove just changes the whole energy pattern in the house.
Or even pine spray.
Yeah.
And,
I also find
pine spray.
If you drink enough tequila, smells just come to your head automatically.
Sorry, I prefer rye.
Seth is still with us in the chat room, and he says, make sure you pay attention to the correct wattage. And, we don't want hazards to be caused during the holidays because of safety factors.
Yeah, like Trippin's put here, don't put extension cords under rugs.
No. I always like to put it this way. It's better to be a bored fireman or a bored EMS or a bored law enforcement than it is to have to respond to something from stupidity. Like not watering your Christmas tree or putting...
That's why I keep telling, like, whenever I'm talking to EMT, to any of them, I'll tell them point blank, as long as they don't have something legitimately to do, I would rather they were sitting having coffee.
Yeah, exactly. Than doing a call during the holidays.
The other one I'd say is every electrical connection you make outside, wrap in electrical tape.
Yeah, agree.
Anyway. Yeah, it cuts down on that water short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, also because we had a really rainy winter, I took some, when you have those plastic style Ziploc brand, like Rubbermaid containers, my husband always microwaves them in the microwave, and they get pitted on the side. And so when that happens, I just, go buy new ones, but I keep the old ones and I do a cutout on either end and run the extension cord through there, make the connection, put the lid on, and then that way it's kind of more waterproofing. Does that make sense? I kind of like...
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not, wasting anything because it's stuff I'm not going to use. But I've just started running like little rabbit holes through either side and then make the connection with the extension cord and then put the lid on, and then, of course, I use electrical tape. So, and it's worked really great.
Wow.
So, yeah.
These are like Christmas hacks. I like them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and plus, if the lights go out or something and you do have a problem, you need to chase down the connection, hey, kick around in the leaves until you find the Tupperware.
There you go. But, yeah, I always like to throw out safety tips during certain seasons when we need to keep people safe.
Yeah, it's like the cat that gets fried in Christmas Vacation underneath the chair.
Recliner.
Yeah,
there's a good point. When you bring that Christmas tree in from the mountains, make sure there's no squirrels or chipmunks stuck in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but check that before you cut the thing down.
Right.
Yeah.
It's cold too. Bring them inside.
No, speaking of that sort of thing, the one thing that we found growing up, cats can get really agitated about Christmas trees. And because of the cat we had, we literally took to tying our tree to the wall so he couldn't pull it down. Oh, he'd walk in, he'd literally wrap his tail around it and walk away and pull the tree over.
Wow.
Something to the effect of, no, that does not belong in my house.
Yeah.
If I want a tree, I'll go outside.
Yeah,
It's like I used to do when I was a poor student. I used to hang my Christmas tree from the ceiling, just because I didn't have to worry about getting to stand or anything like that. And then you put a little bucket underneath it, just for water. But that was back when I had the real Christmas trees.
You do realize that's kind of a twisted Guy Fawkes Day.
Oh, really?
So Trippin's bringing up what Christmas plants are dangerous to animals, and the first one that comes to my mind is poinsettias.
Poinsettias.
Yep.
And everyone always poinsettias are the Christmas plant. I used to work for Summer Sun Greenhouse years ago before I even joined the Army back in the 80s, and that was their only focus was poinsettias. Well, poinsettias are highly toxic to animals. I believe actually humans as well. As far as eating them.
Yeah, the sap can burn.
Yeah.
The other one that is quite common around Christmas is rhubarb.
Yeah.
Rhubarb leaves will kill you.
Okay, yeah. And if you have kids, the winter berries outside, don't eat them, and holly berries, don't eat them. So
even the holly leaves for animals are dangerous.
Yeah.
Not dangerous so much, but they give them a pretty damn good tubby ache.
Yeah, but fortunately with the animals, they have the brains not to eat them for the most part.
So in the chat, we've got...
I've met some dumb dogs.
We've got Trip with mistletoe. Mistletoe is great for kissing under, but not to eat. And
yeah,
Seth is bringing
that
up,
still makes mistletoe dangerous.
It does. It does. Seth is bringing up Christmas cactus.
Oh, that's a succulent. I don't think that's poisonous.
Oh, well, then don't try eating it.
Yeah, right? I've got them everywhere.
It's just a recommendation, but,
Yeah, I'm not going to experience it.
In all fairness, Megan, if you do eat too much of it and it does kill you, you've got a whole different outlook for the S-4 team.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Thanks. That's a great insight.
The reason mistletoe is dangerous is because it gives you an attachment of different sorts.
Yeah.
Just saying.
And Trip is bringing up the winter prep show. We actually did a winter prep show back in, oh God, what month did we do our winter prep? That was back in, I believe,
October.
September, October is when we actually did a winter preparation show. We could do another one. And actually that brings up a good point, because we are coming up to 2019. This is actually one of my favorite holidays, or months, not just because of the holidays, but because of New Year. And it's the end of a year. So we're actually going to do a show on, the last Saturday of the month. We'll actually talk about what happened in 2018 and what projections and where FMP and S4 are going to be in 2019. So, it's a time for change. What did we see in 2018? We saw a lot of disclosure talked about, but not so much progressed. And I'm not going to rant about that because that's another show. But things to think about coming up into the New Year's projection show. So the winter prep show, yes, we already did, but we might do another one in, say, January.
Well, that's because here in Washington, our winter doesn't really come until January, February.
But
we get a little bit of ice, but we don't see that much snow until then.
Well, other than this last year was crazy because it actually snowed on Easter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
every once in a while.
I just looked it up, Eric. Your winter prep show was the 8th of September.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was either September or October.
Yep, 8th of September. It is available right here on Spreaker.
And on YouTube. Our YouTube
and on YouTube.
Yep. Our YouTube channel also has it. And let's see, in the summer, yeah. So I'm reading in the chat room here. So next week we will be covering Krampus, and that's why our show is at nighttime. There are no kids listening, ideally, because we can talk about the dark side of the holidays. Which Krampus, if you haven't seen the movie's great. I love the movie because there is a little aspect of comedy to the movie. I'm not going to explain anything because I don't want to be a movie killer. But excellent movie to watch. And there's a lot of culture and tradition in that's gone through thousands of years that have a lot of dark side of the holidays. And, and we've discussed this before. A lot of those cultural traditions with Krampus and with some of the other ones was to make sure their kids were behaving. If you don't straighten up, Krampus is going to come and get you. You know?
I told my kids about Krampus, and they were scared for like 2 years. It was awesome. Brilliant. Best behavior for 2 years. It really works, guys. Use it.
Well, culturally, and I can't remember, I'll have to do some research for that show next week, but there was actually one creature that came out. It was a witch with a cat. And the cultural aspect behind this lore was to get the employees to make more clothes. It was actually an economical theory behind this story, because the kids had to have brand new clothes for Christmas morning. If they didn't have brand new clothes for Christmas morning, then this witch was going to take them away. And I can't remember specifically which culture that was and which creature that was. We'll actually talk about that next week. But there's you look at the deeper meaning of, say, Krampus and some of these other beings that we're going to be talking about. There is a method to their madness.
Definitely.
Yeah. Keeping your kids in line.
Uh-huh. And that was a big part of it.
What?
That was a big part of it. And, anytime you get a dark season, which winter is a dark season, you start getting the negative aspects. So, Cole, what do you have to add? What do you think about the spirit activity in December?
Well, honestly, in my mind, the veil, the whole veil side of it's largely based on our thoughts and emotions of what we can see through it, as Keith was saying. Whether we're thinking about it, whether we are doing it. Now, Christmas time has not, like the holiday season, this time has not always been called the holiday season. For a long time, it was called the dead of the year. And the reason being that is because it was a time where people came together more closely because, well, you needed to keep warm. So they were huddled up together. A lot of drinks were being passed around as adults, and stories were being told. Whenever the people start telling stories, it always involves the people who aren't with you anymore.
And I believe
So
a lot
it
of
gets you
that
thinking about it.
Well, a lot of that also came from the Celtic lore. It came from the Celtic culture.
Yeah, and rest assured, you go back far enough, the kids were having their fair share of drinks too.
That's true.
Well, they do in Germany. So yeah, and Trip, when you talk about culture with the holidays, Trip brings up a very valid, Coca-Cola. You got Santa Claus on the Coke bottles, and Coca-Cola, I believe, was back in the 50s, started the marketing with Santa Claus and Coca-Cola.
1946, I believe, actually.
46? Yeah, okay.
Yes. I'm a big fan of Coca-Cola.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but you remember how they managed to make that one so well liked.
Well, yeah, it was called Coca-Cola for a reason.
They started using it to advertise for the reason that during the wartime and after the Great Depression, Santa was not as popular as he should have been in the year, and people were not shopping as much as they used to. And they needed something to bring back the idea that luxuries like Coca-Cola were okay again.
And again, you have economy to thank for that. Back then it was like, depression. I think the Great Depression was back in that era.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, 1939.
Right.
1929, sorry.
So they were trying to, bring back the economy from the Great Depression still. So they had to think of something, to enhance it. So anytime you look at culture and lore, you will find a greater reason for it. And we are coming down to the last 10 minutes of the show. It's actually flown. Great show tonight, guys. Anyone got some last comments? Michael, you've been quiet.
Yeah, well, I was just wondering if anybody has seen any really good Christmas movies this year. I don't know if you have seen it, but I have. Kurt Russell's brand new Christmas film where he plays Santa Claus. He's probably the best Santa Claus I've ever seen since Tim Allen. It's a very good film.
I'm waiting for another Tim Allen movie to come out. I mean, they made what? Did they make 3 or did they make 4? The Santa Claus
3
movies. Yeah, I'm waiting for the Santa Claus 4 to come out. I always liked that.
I just watched my favorite one. My favorite Christmas movie. I've watched it. My second favorite one I have to watch soon. My first one is Die Hard.
Yes.
Anyone says that's a Christmas movie.
It is.
I saw that for the first time on Thanksgiving for some reason, and I couldn't believe that film. That was just, I mean, it's a rock'em sock'em film, but you're right, it's all about Christmas.
I like Jingle
and
All
my
the Way.
second one is White Christmas. You can't beat that.
No, White Christmas, and of course, A Christmas Carol is one that we never miss.
Oh, yeah.
The original, though.
Yeah, that's a great one. Very good. And
Michael, Chris is in the chat room. Do you know the name of the Kurt Russell movie?
The Christmas
I do.
Chronicles.
Yeah, Christmas Chronicles. It is.
Okay. Christmas Chronicles.
It is so well done. There's 2 young actors, a girl and a guy that play brothers and sisters, but they are so good. I don't know if you could even try to keep up with Kurt Russell as an actor. The guy is just astonishing. Matter of fact, he does an Elvis song, a Christmas song from Elvis in the film that is amazing, and he sings it himself. It's very, very good.
Well, if I remember correctly, he actually did a Elvis tribute quite some time back.
Oh, yeah. I'll bet. Yeah, he's got a great voice, and he has one of the best Santa beards I have ever seen on a Santa Claus in a film. The makeup was just awesome.
The best thing I've seen so far is someone took his picture that they have on Netflix of him, and they took the arms off his Santa Claus outfit, like ripped the sleeves off, and gave him the eye patch from his Snake Driscoll days. Escape from the North Pole, the newest movie on Netflix.
Oh, nice.
So I gotta bring up a couple chat room movies. So Ronald likes Scrooged. That's another good one. Trippin likes Rick Steves' European Christmas on PBS. So just some movies for our listeners to check out. And it's time to start wrapping up. So Michael, where can we find your radio show, and tell us about UFO I-Team real quick?
Well, sure. Yeah, the radio show is on Night Dreams Talk Radio. My show is Saturday nights, 7 to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it's at nightdreamstalkradio.com. Real easy to find. And, of course, the UFO I-Team that I founded and direct is on Facebook. You just go to Facebook and punch in UFO I-Team with a lowercase I. We're also on YouTube, and our website is ufoiteam.com.
All right. Oh, and real quick, Chris is bringing up Christmas with the Cranks. And you can't National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. That's just, if you want a good comedy too, watch The Ref. That's
really
got Dennis Leary, and it's another funny Christmas movie. So I got to bring up, because Seth got dropped, but if you want to hear Zero Dark 30, Seth's show, you can find the links to it in Forest Moon Paranormal. And Keith, tell us about your books and tell us about your YouTube channel real quick.
Well, the books, Elderbach is a science fiction, science fantasy novel, the first of a trilogy coming out. Just have to get it into print now. We just finished the work on it. And then, of course, I've got Believe in Yourself and Follow Your Dreams and Believe in Your Business and Follow Your Dreams, which are being turned into seminars starting in February. And, of course, if you look up, you can reach me at Inner Voice Enterprises at yahoo.ca. Or, of course, my YouTube channel, which is R. Keith Andrews. And I've got a lot of different ways of connecting me there.
Oh, and I have to clarify, it's not Zero Dark 30, it's just Dark 30. All right, and just to clarify, folks, Forest Moon Paranormal is on a December break. Nothing's wrong with the team, like some people like to throw out there. We're just taking a safety stand down month, and we'll be back to full power again in January. But if you do have an issue, send me a direct link, and I will do a triage on it, and we will get resources to you. So I want to thank our crew tonight, our Keith Andrews, our FMP Alien Race Specialist. Make sure you check out his 2 new books he's written. Great Christmas gifts. Watch his YouTube channel, Cole Wegleitner, FMP Culture and Lore Research Specialist and owner of Statement of Sound DJ Services. Megan Gehring, our FMP Security Team and Astral Team. Michael Hall, our paranormal lawyer and founder of the UFOI team. And Seth Kinsey, who was with us for the first hour, is our S-4 conspiracy specialist and owner of Dark 30. So our music came from the creative mind of Cole. Always look forward to, I love his voiceovers. And on that, folks, we are looking for commercials. If you want your business or your paranormal team advertised on S-4, we will do the voiceover for you. Just send me your blurb. And we do have
anything.
Anything.
If you just want to talk for 5 seconds, come on. We'll do it.
Yeah, we need sponsors. And we want our own sponsors. So, with that, send me a direct link. And we have $20 a month is our lowest package. And we have a variety of packages. We can cater to whatever you need. So, Cole will do the voiceovers if you want your commercial on our show. So, Stephen Gill of Twisted Images, Twisted Studios Department, makes our closing music. As always, you can catch S4 on the Fringe FM every Saturday night at midnight PST and KSVU 90.1 FM Saturdays from 10 to 12. So, next week, December 8th, like I said on the show, we'll be covering the creatures of the holidays, Krampus, and are there really spirits of Christmas? And where did all this lore come from? So thank you again for listening to S4. Keep your eyes to the skies. Remember, it's you, the listeners, that give us a reason to produce S4. And have a great week, S4ians.